2026 School Committee meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence. Please be seated. The listing of matters on the agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting will be live streamed for cable. A recording of this meeting will also be posted on the West Bridgewater Community Access Media website, wb-cam.org. First up, we have recognitions.
Mr. Craig, would you please come up and provide some recognitions to our students?
This is always a good reason to come to a school committee meeting. So first up, the New England Press Association, or NESPA, holds their annual All New England contest. And this is like the top-notch contest in all of New England for our high school storytellers. This year, we had 767 entries across all of New England, across 40 categories. And one of the, we had 3 entries, and one of them was documentary, which is kind of a unique entry for us because this contest runs from April through April, and my seniors in documentary filmmaking haven't finished their final projects yet, so we're always looking at the seniors from the previous year. So happy to say that for the second year in a row, which is amazing because it's really hard to place at this contest, we received a finisher. So a third place finish to the class of 25s, Brianna Blood, who did a documentary on something that's near and dear to her heart, which is the first responder mental health. So her documentary received third place in that category, and I couldn't be more proud of her. So come on up, Brianna.
Thank you.
Nice job. And then we call it the Fall Frenzy, but it actually takes place now in December, which makes a big difference temperature-wise. So we have a contest called the Fall Frenzy. We had this year over 100 students representing 8 different schools around New England. And we head off to Emerson College for the day. And basically this student, the way this contest works is that this is geared toward broadcast journalism students, the students that produce news. You remember those days, right? And so students get 5 hours, they receive a prompt at 9:30. It's a surprise prompt, nobody knows what it is. And from that prompt, they have 5 hours to sort of conceptualize, interview people throughout Boston, yes, outside on a 22-degree day in Boston, edit, shoot, write, all within a 5-hour deadline. And so this is another example of what I say often in video production, which is that we teach them the skills in class, and they practice those skills in class, but the real learning for what I teach happens outside of the classroom, and this is a perfect example for that. So I'm proud to say that we brought up 2 teams, 9 students total, and we received a couple of recognitions. One, they took the prompt, warmth you can touch. What do you do with that? And they did a piece on the love that Bostonians have for their city and how they continue the heartbeat of Boston even through a cold winter. And so they did receive a bronze for that, so I'd like to call up Balin Brown. Congratulations, Balin.
Thank you.
Jackson Dorito. And Ethan Lormel. Now, a lot of these interviews take place outside. They spend probably about 50% of this entire thing outside. And literally, when we got to the Bridgewater train, it was 11 degrees at that point, so it was chilly. We had a second team go up, and they actually got a silver award. They took the prompt, frozen but beautiful, and did a piece on the importance of Faneuil Hall to Bostonians and beyond. So the link that they made, which was pretty interesting, and the judges thought so too, was they didn't take frozen like the temperature. They took something historical that's been frozen in time, and people still will continue to come to Faneuil Hall, and there's a lot of pride there as well. So that silver award goes to Jillian Foley. I don't think Andrew is here right now. All right, he probably forgot, as he does. Teenage stuff. Riley Donovan? You came up faster than I could find your card. I thought I put them in order. There's Riley. Congratulations. And Sophia Hume wasn't able to make it either. She has soccer practice and was going to get yelled at if she did not continue that. Luke Doan. And the greatest thing I heard on the train back was, Mr. Cray, we could do this again next year, right? So I'm kind of excited about that and to bring new teams up. So thank you all for your time and congratulations to all the winners. I think we're taking a big picture.
And Mr. Cray, I just want to say thank you to you for all your leadership with these students, and to our students, excellent job. So proud of you, your efforts, what you do in the classroom, but also out in the community. It's inspiring, so thank you very much.
Me too? Do you want them behind or in front of?
Everybody good? Thank you, Mr. Craig.
Thank you.
Our kids are very lucky to have him. He does a great job. Do you have to announce what we're doing? Are we good to go?
We're good. We're good to go.
So I'm here to present the 2 awards for the New England League of Middle Schools. Each year they recognize students who demonstrate academic achievement, integrity, honesty, self-discipline, empathy, and courage. In addition, these students are positive role models for their peers, show respect for themselves and others, and demonstrate leadership in the classroom and at school activities. So please join me in congratulating Kara Lamline, congratulations, kiddo. You can stay up here because we're going to take a picture, okay? And Carlos Eduardo Dos Reis. Take a picture if you don't mind.
And say congratulations, as a former middle school teacher, this is a big deal. To be selected amongst all your peers by your teachers is a pretty awesome thing, so congratulations.
And two great options right here. Can we just get another picture, sorry?
Grant of Gratitude.
Every year, the CPAC awards a $500 financial grant award to at least one West Bridgewater teacher, therapist, staff person, or administrator in recognition of their inclusive efforts in the classroom, school, or district. Nominations are submitted by students, parents, caregivers, and peers within the West Bridgewater School District. The grant allows the winning teacher, staff, therapist, or administrator to purchase materials such as books, curriculum, professional development supplies, that further their efforts in inclusive education. We're happy to say this year that for the third year in a row, we've been able to award 2 grants. The first is for Nikki Maloney, who couldn't be here today. We're proud to honor Nikki Maloney with the 2026 West Bridgewater CPAC Grant of Gratitude. Nikki is an educator who believes that every child, regardless of ability, deserves to feel capable, included, and proud of what they can accomplish. And she doesn't just believe it, she builds it every single day. 5 years ago, Nikki started the Unified Sports Program with basketball. Since then, it has grown to track, cornhole, and bocce. With every new sport, every new season, more children get to experience what it feels like to be a part of a team. Because of Nikki, students look forward to gym class. Because of Nikki, kids who may not have had that opportunity now know the joy of belonging. But her impact goes beyond the gym. Those who nominated Nikki described witnessing her work with students in some of the most challenging moments and meeting those moments with nothing but love and compassion. She is, as one nominator put it, truly selfless. She just wants children to feel safe and supported. Nikki is building a culture of inclusion that reaches far beyond the walls of school, and she is a role model for students and teachers alike. When asked to describe Nikki in 3 words, her nominators said inclusive, compassionate, inspiring, dedicated, supportive, respectful, kind, and empowering. They didn't break the rules by just throwing all those words. Those are different people. Nikki, your commitment makes a lasting difference. Thank you.
Our second grant is going to Nurse Carissa Moniz. We are proud to honor Nurse Carissa Moniz with the 2026 WB CPAC Grant of Gratitude. For any parent sending a child with complex medical needs to school, the anxiety can be overwhelming. You are trusting someone else with something that feels impossible to hand over. For the families of West Bridgewater, Nurse Moniz is the person who makes that possible. One family shared the story of their daughter, they said the name, so I'm going to say a lot of she or the student, who has type 1 diabetes and requires consistent monitoring and frequent, sometimes urgent care throughout the school day. From the very beginning, Nurse Moniz made that transition seamless, not just for our daughter, but for their entire family. She keeps them informed, keeps their daughter safe, and does it all with a level of attentiveness and compassion that immediately put them at ease. But what truly sets Nurse Moniz apart is her unwavering commitment to inclusion. She doesn't allow a student's medical needs to define or limit their experience. Instead, she finds ways to ensure that every child can remain in the classroom, participate in activities, learn, play, and thrive alongside their peers. Because of her, the student's family can send her to school each day with confidence knowing she is safe, supported, and truly cared for. Nurse Moniz has been described as an asset to this entire district, caring for both the medical and emotional needs of the children she serves. When asked to describe her in 3 words, her nominators offered kind, funny, empathetic, compassionate, inclusive, and understanding. Nurse Moniz, the work you do every day gives families peace of mind and gives children the gift of belonging. Thank you. So certificate for you. Congratulations.
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 And congratulations to Nikki as well.
Good job.
Can we do a picture with her?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm very fortunate I get to see Nurse Moniz every day in the small so you do an outstanding job, so thank you for the care you give our kids.
All right, before we move on the agenda, we'll take a brief recess. I know mostly everybody snuck out, but if you were here for a recognition, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you're more than welcome to go. But we'll reconvene in a brief minute. So the minutes are from the May 4th school committee meeting. Due to the length of these minutes, I haven't had the opportunity to get through all of them, so I'm proposing we hold them for until the next meeting, but does everyone feel comfortable with that?
Sure.
Okay, so next up we have warrants. Ms. Lizardi.
The following warrants were issued and paid for fiscal year 2026. For bill warrants on May 7th, warrant number 41 for $204,868.11. On May 14th, warrant number 42 for $262,041.50. On May 21st, warrant number 43 was $71,307.41. And on May 28th, warrant number 44 was $163,150.29. For payroll warrants on May 8th, the payroll was $611,880.75. And on May 22nd, it was $752,455.31. As always, all warrants are public record and once signed are available in the Selectman's office for review.
Thank you, Kara. Next up, we have the introduction of the Student Advisory Committee representative. We do not have a representative here with us tonight. I understand they have their elections recently, so I think will be a surprise to us to see who joins us next. You'll email, okay. All right, next we have public comment. Members of the audience wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. Audience members shall limit comments to 3 minutes and are reminded that public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals and the school committee. Personnel issues or issues that would violate student or employee confidentiality cannot be addressed during the public comment. Seeing none, we move on to the superintendent's update. Mr. Bodwell.
All right, thank you very much. First up, we have a professional development plan update with Mrs. Yanis.
I get to do 2 in a row. So this year, we implemented a teacher-led professional development opportunity from in September, October, and December. It was the district initiatives that we had to get through, and then January to June, the teachers were tasked with coming up with some of their professional development ideas. I sent a survey last week. The teachers loved the experience. Everything was positive for the most part. Very little negative. Even there was a rating of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best. Almost every single one was a 5. One was a 3, and it was because, I can't remember, but it wasn't anything to do with the PD. It was just, I think there wasn't enough time to complete it. And that was the complaint, that it was heard, that there wasn't enough time, which we all know 2 hours is not enough time. The vast majority of, like I said, of respondents rated the applicability of the sessions a 5 out of 5, but some of the sessions were AI and tech, using Gemini for quick review slideshows, and tools like PBS AI and DFID for lesson design. I have to say, the one at the high school, the PD run by Jamie Martin at the high school, was probably the biggest attended PD session in the district. We had some classroom strategies, we had curriculum in early childhood education, Some of the suggestions that they gave us was start the teacher-led PD sessions earlier in the school year, so some of the strategies can be utilized in real time with the current students. Keep it in person. Avoid virtual PD to maintain better engagement. I don't think we had any virtual PD, so I don't know where this one came from. Alice, they would like to have in their home buildings. And for future priorities, they wanted more on AI, managing AI appropriately, creating AI-resistant prompts, more training in behavior and mental health, prioritizing Tier 1 regulation strategies, coping with challenging behaviors in the moment, and district-wide 504 plans. And then more collaboration, creating more vertical planning between K to 1, pre-K to K, and some tailored options for instructional assistance this year. They actually, the instructional assistants worked with our BCBA on behavior, so they had some good PD with her. It was, I think, everybody was engaged. Anytime I went around to a classroom, they were all engaged. We had an instructional assistant from the high school run a PD that was very well run. So I think they did a really good job this year, and we plan to continue it next year. Any questions?
Sounds good.
Thank you for your efforts. I think we listened to the feedback from the staff. We wanted to get their involvement. There's certainly some professional development that we need to run as a district. We feel is beneficial for all, but then allowing them some choice in what's going to benefit them most in their professional development is, I think, always a good plan. So thank you.
Yeah, the choice, they were happy with the choice.
I do have a question, actually. I'm just curious, what, format did this take? Was this all teacher-run, or was this?
Yep. Well, most of it was teacher-run. The nurses had a consultant come in and work with them for the 5 days, 6 days.
Okay, I was just curious
Yep.
about whether it added to the teacher workload at all, or if that was something.
This is something they asked for. They wanted this, so they were happy to do it.
I believe the presenter gets additional PDPs too, right?
Yeah, the facilitator of the professional development gets up to 24 PDPs.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And update on academic showcase.
Oh, the favorite time of the year is the academic showcase. It was amazing to see all the parents there. It highlights the incredible depth, creativity, and hard work of our teachers and students, spanning from our youngest learners, our preschoolers, to our high schoolers. And Keith was kind enough to share some pictures. I did not take one picture that night. I was too busy running around. So most of these are from preschool and Roselle. But our elementary students bridged core literacy and science with hands-on creative projects. Preschool and kindergarten showcased outdoor exploration with a garden and mud kitchen, and then kindergarten did a potato pet project. Grades 1 and 2 took a deep dive into literacy with poetry and wit and wisdom paragraph and crafts, alongside social studies projects exploring Plains Indians and the pioneers. Grade 3 blended science and art with deep sea illustrations, shark and squid replicas, and didactics, and a Black History Month presentation featuring books, historical figures, and a song from Harriet rounded out grade 3. That was really highlight. Grades 4 and 5, literacy and science with wit and wisdom, narratives paired with digital canvas illustrations. This was a highlight. The owl pellet dissection table was a highlight, and we had collaborative student-led model pride assemblies down across from the TV studio. Grade 8 showcased their space project, grade 6, sorry, showcased their space projects, where they literally turned their unit into playable concept review games. The middle and high school focus shifted to rigorous analysis, scientific inquiry, and interactive learning. Humanities and social studies, we had our National History Day projects showcased. AP Language did a presentation on rhetorical speech analyses and multi-layered social science student projects. In math and science, we had interactive GimKit math demonstrations, an animal behavior lab, a deep dive into human body systems. And technology, we had students walked the attendees through their live coding process, and middle, senior, high schools demonstrated media skills with the green screen activities and announcements. as you can see, they're pretty well-versed with that, with Mr. Cray. The World Language Department displayed detailed royal family tree posters alongside honors and 8th grade writing portfolios. And in health and wellness, we had a practical display on mental health wellness featuring student-created stress balls with rice. We did. There was a school-wide community and creative arts session. We also showcased how students impact our community and express themselves through the arts. Grade 2 and grade 3 from Roselle, the student council pitched a campus-wide paper recycling program, and the high school arts were on full display with an art gallery walkthrough and general middle senior high school artwork displays. And the music department brought energy with their performance of spring concert music and a choir performance. So this was a great night. I wish I had more pictures, but I think this was one of probably the best attended one we've had in a long time. So,
And the great thing is, it was literally 1 hour of
Yeah,
packed
1 hour.
entertainment that you could walk around, and we got a lot of nice feedback from parents
Yes.
who attended, so that was,
Yep.
that was nice to hear.
yep. I did have a QR code for any comments or anything, and only one person said it was wonderful, so I'll take that. Any questions?
So, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Page, graduation. And your job as a meteorologist, you passed that.
Yeah, I was
for the
worried
night.
this year. I'm not gonna lie, I was worried. We were getting dripped on a little bit on the walk over, but that always is one of my favorite parts, walking over with the graduates. But yeah, I think it was a great ceremony. I think the student speeches this year were fantastic, well thought out, meaningful. The chorus sang. It was just, yeah, I think for them, it's all about them. You know, they worked to get there, so I was really proud to have the celebration for them. And it was packed. I think that may have been the most crowded that it's ever been. But all good stuff. I have, really nothing more to say than, thanks for those of you who were able to make it and to support our kids. And yeah, I think it was great.
And thank you to you, the advisors, and
yes,
all the
Mrs.
people
Mack.
behind the scenes. I mean, you said it that night, but it certainly takes a village. We had some, just even the reserving of seats and the counting of seats and the putting the seats out and everything, the sound system, the video, everyone needs to work together. So it's not as easy as, maybe doing it in a gym, but it's certainly worthwhile because it's an amazing site.
It all came together, so thank you to everybody.
It was a great ceremony.
It's such a beautiful tradition too that we have it in that town park.
We're lucky. It's beautiful. I think a parent made a comment after the fact. They said, I was sitting there and I could hear the river. You know what I mean? I said, yeah, no, you don't really get a lot of that. A lot of times it's not in the turf field or in the gymnasium, so we're lucky.
And it's such a nice walkover for everyone that takes that walkover with the graduates. It's kind of that last time together, so nice.
Okay, on to new business. Our first order of new business is the homeschool request. It is in your packet. Has everyone had an opportunity to review it? And Mr. Bodwell, I know Mrs. Marble is not here tonight to speak to this, but have they submitted a plan? Is everything
Yes,
in order?
she has reviewed it. I have
Okay.
also taken a look at it, and it meets all the criteria set forth in our policies.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Is there a motion to approve the homeschool request in our folder?
Motion to approve the homeschool request.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay, next on our list, we have the superintendent Bodwell's evaluation. So we are going to go about this in a somewhat organized fashion. So we're gonna go through all of the standards first and then circle back to the summary and your individual goals. So I will start with standard number 1. Thank you, actually, first of all, to all of you for all of your effort, all of your comments, and for getting it to me on time, which made it a lot easier. I didn't have to scramble at the last minute, which was nice. So, okay, so for standard 1 is instructional leadership. So in standard 1A curriculum, we rated Mr. Bodwell proficient. In Standard 1B, Instruction, Mr. Bodwell received a rating of proficient. In Standard 1C, Assessment, Mr. Bodwell received a rating of proficient. In 1D, Evaluation, we have a rating of proficient. In 1E, Data-Informed Decision-Making, we have a rating of needs improvement. The 1F, Student Learning, is all individually considered to contribute to the overall, with an overall rating for Standard 1 for instructional leadership of proficient. In the area of instructional leadership, or Standard 1, Superintendent Bodwell has received an overall rating of proficient. Of the 5 rating evaluators, 3 rated Superintendent Bodwell's performance in this area as proficient, while 2 rated performance in this area as needing improvement. Across all indicators, across all evaluators, 16 out of 25 were rated as proficient, or 64%, lending to the overall rating by the committee. While evaluators were unable to reach consensus on indicators supporting this standard, areas of relative strength were identified in the areas of curriculum, 1A, and evaluation, 1D. An area for growth was identified in data-informed decision-making, with 3 of the 5 evaluators rating this area as in need of improvement. The following key points and key common themes were identified from narratives provided by individual members. Superintendent Bodwell demonstrated a continued commitment to curriculum development, professional learning, instructional oversight, and administrator support. Evidence submitted included the Wit and Wisdom pacing calendar, math curriculum research and review committee materials, professional development planning, administrator goals, walkthrough documentation, and observation feedback. Evaluators noted his consistent presence in school buildings, active collaboration with administrators, and visible engagement with students and staff as important strengths that support a positive culture of teaching and learning. In the areas of curriculum and instruction, evaluators highlighted the superintendent's involvement in strengthening curriculum oversight and promoting instructional consistency across the district. The implementation of the Wit and Wisdom pacing calendar, development of the math curriculum research committee, and use of teacher-led professional development were viewed positively. Several evaluators also noted the superintendent's willingness to leverage in-district expertise and collaborate with instructional leaders to support continuous improvement efforts. Evidence related to supervision and evaluation demonstrated growth compared to previous evaluation cycles. Evaluators noted improvements in the quality and balance of feedback provided to administrators, including clear identification of growth areas and more actionable coaching. Classroom walkthroughs and ongoing engagement with school leaders were recognized as valuable components of the superintendent's instructional leadership. At the same time, several evaluators expressed a desire for more consistent documentation of observations, written feedback, follow-up on action steps, and evidence demonstrating how supervisory practices are influencing administrator growth and instructional improvement. Assessment and data-informed decision-making emerged as the most common area identified for continued growth. While evaluators acknowledged discussions of student performance and district improvement efforts, several noted limited evidence demonstrating systematic analysis of student achievement data or clear connections between data findings and instructional decision-making. Members expressed a desire for stronger aggregation and interpretation of assessment results, more visible use of data to identify trends and measure progress, and clearer documentation of how academic outcomes inform district planning, curriculum decisions, and improvement strategies. Some evaluators also emphasized the importance of ensuring that performance concerns are addressed through consistent expectations, monitoring, and follow-through. Across the narratives, there was a shared recognition of Superintendent Bodwell's dedication to instructional improvement, administrator support, and student success. Evaluators consistently described him as a visible and collaborative leader who values professional growth and works closely with district staff to strengthen teaching and learning. At the same time, members encouraged continued development of systems that connect observations, feedback, and student performance data to measurable outcomes. Greater emphasis on documentation, data analysis, follow-through, and evidence of impact would further strengthen instructional leadership and support continued district improvement. So that's it for our summary for Standard 1. Do any individual members have anything that they'd like to add for Standard 1? No?
I think you covered it all there.
Okay. Mr. Bodwell, do you have any questions for Standard 1?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Standard 2?
Okay. Standard 2 is management and operations. Standard 2A, environment, was rated as proficient. Standard 2B, Human Resources Management and Development, was rated as needs improvement. 2C, Scheduling and Management Information Systems, was also proficient. 2D, Law, Ethics, and Policies, was rated as needs improvement. And 2E, Fiscal Systems, was rated as proficient. The overall rating for Standard 2 Management and Operations was needs improvement, I believe due to the considerations in the two indicators that were marked as needs improvement. So in the area of Management and Operations Standard 2, Superintendent Bodwell has received an overall rating of needs improvement. Across all indicators, across all evaluators, 14 out of the 25 were rated as proficient, or 52%, or exemplary, 4%, with 11 out of 25 areas, 44%, needing improvement. Of the 5 rating evaluators, however, 4 rated Superintendent Bodwell's performance in this area as needing improvement, and 1 rated his performance as proficient. Evaluators were again unable to reach consensus on indicators supporting this standard, though an area of relative strength was identified in Scheduling and Management Information Systems, 2C. 2 areas for growth were noted in Human Resources Management and Development, 2B, and Law, Ethics, and Policies, 2D, with 3 of the 5 evaluators rating this area as in need of improvement. The following key points and common themes were identified from narratives provided by individual members. Superintendent Bodwell is recognized for strengths in district operations, fiscal planning, stakeholder collaboration, and responsiveness to district needs. Evaluators highlighted his work with the business manager, the school committee, and town officials during the budget development process, as well as his leadership throughout the MSBA building project and ongoing capital planning efforts. His communication with families and community stakeholders through forums, newsletters, coffee hours, and school committee presentations was frequently cited as a strength, as was his commitment to maintaining a safe and supportive environment for students and staff. District safety planning and emergency preparedness emerged as areas of both progress and continued focus. Evaluators acknowledged revisions to the Safe Schools Crisis Management Protocol and the Medical Emergency Response Plan, ongoing collaboration with local police and fire departments, and efforts to address operational vulnerabilities identified in prior evaluation cycles. At the same time, several members noted the need for more comprehensive review and analysis of safety procedures, including stronger alignment between district practices and school committee policies, clearer documentation of emergency protocols, and more systematic evaluation of safety drills and response procedures to ensure continuous improvement. Fiscal systems was generally viewed as an area of proficiency. Evaluators recognized Superintendent Bodwell's commitment to transparent and collaborative budget development, long-range capital planning, and balancing district priorities with broader municipal financial considerations. However, several members noted that aspects of the budget process continue to present challenges, including incomplete documentation, gaps in internal coordination, and limited visibility into certain revenue and operational areas. These concerns suggest opportunities to strengthen budget communication, reporting, and organizational systems to support informed decision-making. Human Resources Management and Development was identified by several evaluators as an area requiring continued attention. While members acknowledged positive collaboration on professional development initiatives, labor management efforts, and collective bargaining, concerns were raised regarding the absence of comprehensive staffing metrics, retention analysis, and workforce trend data. Evaluators expressed a desire for stronger systems to monitor staffing patterns, support long-term personnel planning, and ensure consistent administrative oversight of personnel matters. Law, ethics, and policies emerged as the most significant area of concern within this standard. Evaluators recognized Superintendent Bodwell's commitment to policy development and his ongoing work to align district practices with evolving legal and regulatory requirements. However, multiple members identified concerns regarding implementation, compliance monitoring, and follow-through. Particular attention was given to a licensure oversight involving a district administrator, which several evaluators viewed as evidence of the need for stronger compliance systems and more proactive management practices. Concerns were also raised regarding consistent enforcement of district policies and procedures, as well as ensuring that newly adopted policies are implemented effectively and uniformly across the district. Across the narratives, evaluators consistently described Superintendent Bodwell as accessible, collaborative, and deeply committed to the West Bridgewater school community. His responsiveness to concerns, willingness to work with stakeholders, and dedication to supporting students and staff were recognized as important strengths. At the same time, several evaluators encouraged continued growth in the areas of operational oversight, accountability, compliance monitoring, internal communication, and consistent implementation of district policies and expectations. Strengthening these systems and processes will further support organizational effectiveness and help ensure that the district operations are aligned with the high standards expected of the role.
Thank you, Kara. Does anybody have any individual comments or questions related to the standard? No?
Comprehensive.
Mr. Bobble, do you have any questions?
No, I did share some specific information with a few members related to some of the indicators, but I'll leave it at those communications.
All right. Standard 3, family and community engagement. Carrie?
Yep. Standard 3, family and community engagement. 3A, engagement, the committee rated a proficient. Standard 3B, sharing responsibility, the committee rated proficient. 3C, communication, committee rated proficient. And 3D, family concerns, the family rated proficient. In the area of family and community engagement, Standard 3, Superintendent Bodwell has received an overall rating of proficient. Of the 5 rating evaluators, 4 rated Superintendent Bodwell's performances in this area as proficient, and 1 rated his performance as exemplary. This indicates continued improvement over last year's ratings. Across all indicators, across all evaluators, 19 out of 20, 95%, were rated as proficient, 85% or exemplary, 85% proficient, 85% or exemplary, 10%, while 1/20th, 5% was rated as in need of improvement, lending to the overall rating of proficient by the committee. During this evaluation cycle, family and community engagement is a significant area of strength for Superintendent Bodwell, with all committee members reaching consensus that Superintendent Bodwell demonstrates at least proficient, if not exemplary, performance in the areas of engagement, 3A, communication, 3C, and family concerns, 3D. The following key points and common themes were identified from narratives provided by individual members. Superintendent Bodwell is widely recognized for strong performance in the area of family and community engagement. Evaluators consistently described this standard as one of his greatest strengths, citing his visibility through the district, approachable leadership style, and commitment to maintaining open lines of communication with students, families, staff, and community stakeholders. His accessibility and responsiveness were frequently noted as important factors in fostering trust and positive relationships across the school community. Communication emerged as a significant area of strength across all narratives. Evaluators highlighted Superintendent Bodwell's consistent use of multiple communication channels, including district newsletters, emails, website updates, social media, school committee presentations, public forums, and superintendent coffee hours. Stakeholders are routinely informed of district initiatives, school events, and emerging issues through timely and transparent communication. Several evaluators noted that while the volume of information shared is appreciated, streamlining certain communications may help ensure key messages are more easily accessible to families and community members. Multiple evaluators commend Superintendent Bodwell's efforts to create meaningful opportunities for engagement and two-way dialogue. Regular attendance at school events, open houses, curriculum nights, community meetings, and stakeholder forums reflect an ongoing commitment to listening and relationship building. Partnership with parent organizations, community groups, town officials, and district stakeholders were identified as important contributors to a welcoming and collaborative district culture. Student voice emerged as a particularly notable strength during this evaluation cycle. Evaluators recognized the expansion of student roundtable meetings and the superintendent's efforts to incorporate student perspectives into district discussions and decision-making. Members noted that feedback gathered from students was not only solicited but also referenced in committee discussions and district planning, demonstrating a genuine commitment to ensuring student perspectives are heard and valued. Several evaluators also highlighted the superintendent's responsiveness to concerns raised by family and community members. Members noted his willingness to engage directly with stakeholders, address issues in a timely manner, and remain visible during both routine operations and more challenging district initiatives. His communication and outreach efforts through the MSBA building project process were cited as examples of maintaining transparency and stakeholder engagement during a complex and highly visible district undertaking. While feedback was overwhelmingly positive, some evaluators identified opportunities to further strengthen this standard. Suggestions included providing additional evidence demonstrating how family concerns are resolved, expanding opportunities for families to participate more directly in shared decision-making processes, and strengthening systems that demonstrate how stakeholder feedback informs district priorities and planning. Members generally agreed that communication engagement structures are strong and that future growth lies in deepening stakeholder participation and partnership in district decision-making.
Thank you, Perry. Does anyone have any individual comments for Standard 3?
I just want to share, like, this is one of your strongest areas.
Absolutely.
And you're a people person, and how much you care for the
It
students truly shows.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Really does. Did you have any comments or questions?
No, I'm good,
for Standard
thank you.
3? Okay, Standard 4, professional culture. JP?
All right. Standard 4A, commitment to high standards, was rated proficient. B, cultural proficiency, rated as proficient. C, communication, rated as proficient. D, continuous learning, rated as proficient. E, shared vision, rated as proficient. F, managing conflict, rated as proficient, which led to an overall rating for the standard of professional culture of proficient. And the executive summary. Okay. In the area of professional culture, Standard 4, Superintendent Bodwell has received an overall rating of proficient. Of the 5 rating evaluators, 4 rated Superintendent Bodwell's performance in this area as proficient, and 1 rated his performance as needing improvement. Across all indicators, across all evaluators, 25 out of 30, or 83%, were rated as proficient. Were rated as proficient 80%, or exemplary 3%. And 5 out of 30 were rated as need improvement, or 17%, lending to the overall rating by the committee. The committee reached consensus with ratings of at least proficient, if not exemplary, in the areas of cultural proficiency, which was evaluation B, communication, which was evaluation C, and shared vision, which was evaluation E. Here are some of the key following points and themes that were identified from narratives provided by the individual members. Superintendent Bodwell demonstrates a strong commitment to continuous improvement, collaborative leadership, and maintaining positive relationships throughout the district. Evaluators consistently described him as approachable, respectful, and receptive to feedback, noting his willingness to listen to diverse perspectives and engage constructively with students, staff, family, and community members. His visibility throughout the district and focus on relationship building continues to contribute positively to the overall culture of the schools. A commitment to professional learning emerged as a significant strength across multiple evaluations. Members noted Superintendent Bodwell's participation in professional development opportunities, including the Mass Summer Institute and the MASC Mass Joint Conference, as evidence of his dedication to ongoing growth as a leader. Evaluators also recognized his support for professional learning within the district throughout administrative collaboration, goal-setting processes, staff-driven professional development opportunities, AI-focused training, and initiatives designed to strengthen instructional practice and leadership capacity. Several evaluators highlighted the superintendent's efforts to promote collaboration, open communication, and stakeholder engagement. Staff meetings, student roundtables, surveys, administrative discussions, and other feedback mechanisms were cited as examples of structures that encourage participation and reflection. Evaluators noted that these efforts help support a culture focused on continuous improvement and shared responsibility for the district's success. His communication with families and broader community, particularly during complex or high-profile issues, was also identified as a significant strength that contributes to trust and transparency. Managing conflict and ensuring consistent follow-through emerged as the most common area identified for continued growth. While evaluators acknowledged improvement in the quality of the feedback provided to administrators and a greater willingness to address areas requiring improvement, several members noted that difficult conversations and personnel concerns are not always addressed as proactively or decisively as they could be. Some evaluators expressed a desire for stronger leadership in situations requiring accountability, conflict resolution, and timely intervention, particularly when it concerns involving district operations, compliance, or staff performance. Almost there. Internal communication and staff perception of support also surfaced as themes within this narrative. Survey results referenced by evaluators suggested that some staff members do not consistently feel informed, supportive, or empowered to share concerns. Members noted that opportunities to strengthen internal communication systems, improve clarity around expectations in decision-making, and ensure that concerns raised by staff are addressed in a visible and consistent manner. Several evaluators also emphasized the importance of balancing a collegial leadership style with clear accountability structures and consistent follow-through. Across the narratives, evaluators recognized Superintendent Bodwell's genuine commitment to fostering a positive and inclusive professional culture. His collaborative approach, investment in professional growth, and strong communication skills were consistently viewed as assets to the district. At the same time, members encouraged continued growth in conflict management, internal communication, accountability, and the consistent application of leadership expectations. Strengthening these areas will help further align district systems and practices with the positive culture and shared vision that the superintendent seeks to promote. The narrative feedback reflects a broad consensus that professional culture remains an area of strength for Superintendent Bodwell. Evaluators consistently acknowledge his professionalism, commitment to learning, and dedication to maintaining positive relationships across the school community, while identifying opportunities to strengthen leadership systems that support accountability, communication, and organizational consistency.
Thank you, JP. Does anyone have anything they'd like to add from your individual evaluations for Standard 4? No? Mr. Bottle?
I'm good.
Questions?
Thank you.
He's good? Okay, so going back up for the summary. Superintendent Bodwell has received an overall rating of proficient based on compilation of individual evaluations from 4 current committee members and 1 former member who provided direct observation from August 2025 to April 2026. 1 current member, elected in April 2026, has abstained from provided ratings due to her limited direct observation of Superintendent Bodwell given the timing of her election to the committee. This new member provided feedback on evidence and/or goals which were included in the summaries. So progress towards goals. The committee as a whole rated the superintendent's performance on this year's goals as follows. So district improvement goal number 1 was the elementary school building project, was rated as met. The committee recognizes Superintendent Bodwell's exceptional commitment and leadership throughout the elementary school building project process. Evaluators consistently noted the substantial time, effort, and personal investment dedicated to advancing this multi-year initiative, including active participation in school building committee meetings, ongoing collaboration with project partners, and extensive community outreach through public forums, school tours, social media, emails, website updates, and other communication efforts. Although the project was ultimately unsuccessful at the ballot box, evaluators agreed that the outcome does not diminish the significant work completed or the leadership demonstrated throughout the process. The committee acknowledges the meaningful progress made and encourages continued reflection on strategies to strengthen community support and engagement should a future building project be pursued. This goal was rated as met by 3 evaluators and exceeded by 2 evaluators. Goal number 2, student learning, was focused on instructional leadership. The committee rated this as significant progress. The committee recognizes progress towards strengthening instructional leadership through increased visibility in schools, regular walkthroughs, improvements to administrator evaluation practices, and ongoing engagement with students and staff. Evaluators noted positive changes in communication and feedback processes and acknowledged Superintendent Bodwell's strong presence within district schools. At the same time, members consistently identified a need for more structured and documented instructional leadership practices, including greater consistency in walkthrough implementation, clear evidence of actionable feedback provided to administrators, and stronger demonstration of how observations, surveys, and other data are used to inform leadership decisions and instructional improvement efforts. Evaluators also emphasize the importance of utilizing student achievement data more effectively to guide instructional decisions and measure progress toward district academic goals. This goal was rated as significant progress by 3 evaluators and met by 2 evaluators. Goal number 3, professional practice, was focused on student voice. The committee rated this as significant progress. The committee recognizes meaningful progress in elevating student voice across the district. Evaluators highlighted the success of regular student roundtable meetings, which exceeded the original frequency outlined in the goal, and provided valuable opportunities for students to share feedback directly with district leadership. Evidence demonstrated that student input contributed to several tangible improvements and reinforced a culture in which students feel heard and valued. While the goal was not fully achieved as written, particularly regarding individual meetings with all seniors, evaluators agreed that significant progress was made in fostering student engagement and strengthening communication between students and district leadership. The committee encourages continued development of systems to capture feedback from all student groups and clear documentation demonstrating how student input informs district planning and decision-making. This area was rated as significant progress by 3 evaluators, some progress by 1 evaluator, and exemplary by 1 evaluator. Goal number 4, which was district improvement, focused on artificial intelligence. The committee rated this area as significant progress. The committee recognizes significant foundational work completed toward the district's artificial intelligence initiative. Evaluators acknowledged the complexity and rapidly evolving nature of AI implementation and commended Superintendent Bodwell for initiating important district-wide conversations, facilitating professional development opportunities, and developing draft guidelines to support responsible AI use. While the full scope of the goal was not achieved during this evaluation cycle, members agreed that meaningful groundwork has been established for future implementation. Continued progress will require additional staff training, refinement, and adoption of district guidelines, and clear evidence demonstrating student access to AI literacy instruction. Evaluators expressed support for continued work in this area as the district builds capacity to integrate emerging technologies responsibly and effectively. This area was rated as significant progress by 3 evaluators, some progress by 1 evaluator, and met by 1 evaluator. The following key points and common themes were identified from narratives provided by individual members. Superintendent Bodwell continues to be recognized for his deep commitment to the West Bridgewater school community. His visibility throughout the district, accessibility to students, staff, and families, and relationship-centered leadership style were consistently identified as significant strengths. Communication remains a notable strength. Evaluators highlighted his efforts to keep families, staff, and the broader community informed through regular updates, public forums, surveys, newsletters, and direct outreach, contributing to increased transparency and community engagement. Superintendent Bodwell demonstrated significant dedication and leadership in advancing major district initiatives, particularly the elementary school building project. Evaluators recognized the substantial time, effort, and personal investment devoted to the project, as well as his collaborative work with town officials, community partners, and district stakeholders. Superintendent Bodwell continues to be viewed as a professional, collaborative, and approachable leader who is receptive to feedback and committed to continuous growth. Several evaluators noted positive growth over the course of his tenure and an ongoing willingness to reflect on and improve his leadership practices. While valuing his relationship-focused leadership style, multiple evaluators emphasized the need to further strengthen management and operational leadership through greater consistency in administrative oversight, accountability, follow-through, and implementation of district policies and expectations. Several evaluators encouraged a more structured and data-driven approach to instructional leadership, including clear use of student achievement data, stronger documentation of administrative feedback and coaching, and greater emphasis on measurable outcomes when evaluating district initiatives and progress towards goals. Evaluators expressed a desire for stronger systems and processes to support internal communication, consistency of practice, compliance monitoring, and organizational decision-making, while ensuring expectations are applied fairly and consistently across the district. The committee recognizes and appreciates Superintendent Bodwell's continued dedication to West Bridgewater Public Schools and his unwavering commitment to students, staff, families, and the broader community. Throughout his 6th year as superintendent, he demonstrated notable strengths in communication, relationship building, community engagement, safety planning, and visible leadership. Evaluators consistently acknowledged his professionalism, positive demeanor, and willingness to accept feedback and grow as a leader. The committee also recognizes meaningful progress towards several district goals, particularly the elementary school building project, student engagement initiatives, and the district's emerging work with artificial intelligence. Looking ahead, continued focus on accountability, instructional leadership, operational systems, data-driven decision-making, and consistent implementation of district expectations will help further strengthen organizational effectiveness and student outcomes. The committee expresses its gratitude to you, Superintendent Bodwell, for your service, dedication, and tireless efforts on behalf of the West Bridgewater school community, and we look forward to your continued growth and leadership in the years ahead. Is there anything that anyone else would like to add for the overall?
I mean, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's 22 pages for those who can't see it.
But I will say, in my time here, I do appreciate that things that we comment on and ask you to improve upon or, focus on, you generally tend to do that. And I know that a lot of things I mentioned in my evaluation last cycle, you did make a point to address in this cycle. And I just think, hopefully you take the constructive criticism, for what it's intended, and just make sure that we're on track operationally, because, we know you care about this district, and that you can't drain that, so.
Absolutely.
You will. Thank you.
Anyone else? Did you have any questions?
Yeah, I do have
for us?
just a couple
Or
comments, but
comments?
thank you.
Sure,
It
go
was
for it.
obviously very comprehensive. I appreciate all the information. I wrote something up. I won't be 22 pages worth, but I just want to share some information. So thank you, first of all, for the time and effort you invested in completing my evaluation. I recognize a significant amount of information involved in this process, and I genuinely appreciate the feedback and perspectives you have provided. I value the evaluation process because it offers an opportunity to reflect on what is working well in the district and to identify areas where I can continue to grow as superintendent. Continuous improvement is an important part of effective leadership, and I welcome constructive feedback as part of that process. Before addressing the evaluation itself, I'd like to acknowledge and thank our district and building level administrators whose dedication and hard work has supported much of what we've accomplished in this school system. Compared to DESE, DART districts and neighboring South Shore districts, West Bridgewater operates with significantly fewer administrators. In fact, more than 95% of districts have a higher administrator to student ratio than we do. I'd also like to recognize and thank all of our educators and staff for their commitment to our students each and every day. One challenge, I think, in evaluating the superintendent role is much of the work that's done occurs outside the school committee meetings and public events. While I strive to keep the committee informed through reports, presentations, documentation, and ongoing communication, many aspects of the position involve daily interactions with staff, students, families, administrators, community members, and town partners. The work includes problem solving, planning, personnel matters, school visits, classroom walkthroughs, collaboration, and countless conversations that take place throughout the day and often into the evening. With that in mind, I would like to extend an open invitation to any school committee member who would be interested in spending a few hours or even a full day shadowing me. I believe it would provide valuable insight into the breadth and complexity of a superintendent's responsibilities and help strengthen our shared understanding of district leadership. As we move forward, I believe there may be value also in identifying specific focus areas within the evaluation framework, which is common practice in superintendent evaluations. With 20 indicators across 4 standards, establishing priority areas could help both the school committee and the superintendent maintain a shared understanding of expectations and areas of emphasis throughout the evaluation cycle. The Massachusetts Educator Evaluation Framework recognized that a proficient rating does not imply perfection. Rather, it signifies the expectations have been met and that performance is effective. Most educators and administrators performing at a proficient level can still identify situations where outcomes could have been improved or processes strengthened. In my self-assessment and reflections, I intentionally identified areas where I can continue to grow. I believe acknowledging opportunities for improvement is an important part of professional practice and effective leadership. At the same time, I believe the evidence demonstrated that I've met the expectations established for this evaluation cycle and have performed at a proficient level in a majority of the areas assessed. Thank you again for your thoughtful review of the evidence and reflections you provided. It remains my goal to serve the students, staff, and families and the entire West Bridgewater community to the best of my ability and to continue to strengthen our district for future generations. So thank you. I genuinely do appreciate the feedback.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything they want to add? Okay, go for it.
I think we all get evaluated at all our individual jobs, like I just had myself, so, I just think that, I think that you know that you're good at your job when you see your evaluation, not as like a got you or a scary thing, but as like a, how can I grow, how can I get better? And if you don't know where you can grow, if you don't know how you can get better, you're going to slide backward. So I appreciate you listening to our feedback, and it sounds like you very consistently take it and take those areas to improve and work very hard in those areas. So I'm looking forward to working with you and seeing you grow and develop as a superintendent.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a voting issue. Is there a motion to approve Superintendent Bodwell's evaluation and enter it into the record?
Motion to approve Superintendent Bodwell's evaluation.
Is there a second? Second. Any further discussion? So I will call for a vote, and there is the opportunity for abstention if you prefer to do that. But we'll move forward. All approved, or all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion passed, 5-0. Right, next up on the agenda is discussion of school committee meeting attendance options, including virtual participation and potential meeting day changes. So this is added to the agenda where, you know what, I realized, we haven't had the opportunity to actually welcome Lexi yet. Welcome to your first meeting as we just jump into all of the end of the year stuff. So welcome. We're glad that you're here. I know that Lexi travels a lot for work, and so just talking about different opportunities for participation. I know that Lexi had asked to participate virtually, and we also talked at the last meeting about potential meeting day changes, so to better accommodate if you have a general idea of your schedule and you're traveling. I know it changes a lot, but
Yeah, it does change a lot, and I appreciate this being on the agenda, because I think access is important for all members, not just me, but going forward in the future. I know we're all busy, we all have other obligations, and it's also important that we can all serve our community however we can. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility. In my case, I do travel a lot, and I work in the tech sector where my company creates software that helps hospitals document different medical information and bill insurance companies. So typically we like to bring sites live the first week of the month. And a lot of times if you work in tech or if you work in finance or even anything in that sector, typically the first week of the month is not great. But my schedule changes all the time. So for me, a remote option is the best. And I think too, the fact that we are a Google district gives us access to resources like Google Meet. We have our YouTube channel as well, so I think that could give us some good opportunities to be able to maybe even stream at the same time. So I didn't know if that would be something we'd be interested in looking into, but I definitely think that a remote attendance option for members in the particular cases as outlined in the open meeting law would be best. I don't know if anybody else had an opinion either way about remote attendance or changing our meeting dates.
any thoughts?
I have no opinion either way. If people want to come, great. If we want to do remote, that works too.
It's hard to say, never having been a part of one of these meetings, if they're either in a hybrid or remote setting, because
Yeah, we don't know.
my tenure came after COVID, and the only thing, meetings that are heavy with voting issues could present real difficulties with someone not being in person. The fact that we have our meetings live streamed and recorded, and Maureen taking minutes, and everyone needs to be heard. So whoever isn't here would need to be heard by us, by the people sitting here, and by the people who watch at home, and vice versa. And I'm concerned that it would present particularly, budget hearings, things like that, where they're vote heavy. I'm apprehensive. However, I don't want to thought you'd have better luck at different time of the month to move our meetings to a different date. So,
I
that's,
echo that. I think virtually is tough. I mean, we've all sat in virtual meetings. They're tough to get a word in, especially when we've got an audience and a committee. And I do think it, like you said, Maureen's then, it's a different world. But if there's a different week, maybe. I do know that I think a different day would be hard. We've got administrators who are also on the calendar with this, so I don't know if that's something that's an option rather than a
Yeah.
virtual.
And Mr. Bodwell, you had looked at, I'm not going to ask you to pull it out right now, but Mr. Bodwell had looked at the calendar for next year, and there are several months where we could bump it a week so that it's not as close to the first week of the month. There are a couple of months where it becomes difficult during budget season, where we do have to adhere to the timelines. I'm not opposed to moving meetings. I do think a different day would be difficult. I think we're used to a Monday, and that's kind of how we've all scheduled. So I'm not opposed to moving the meeting. I'm also not opposed to trying a hybrid option and working through the tech challenges. But I do, I have concerns about just discussion and being able to support full discussion. Hybrid meetings there tends to be a bit of a delay, and there's a pause, and so conversations become stilted. And then that in itself presents challenges for community access if the discussion is not full and robust. But that being said, I don't want to limit any member's opportunity to participate, so I'm willing to try it and to research it and see what we can do.
Do we know if any other committees in town offer remote options? Does anybody know?
We do. It's the
Cable committee does
Conservation Committee too, I think.
somewhat hybrid. I think they
So we could,
run it out of the cable.
We can copy their
studio.
playbook maybe and see if it works.
I do, in talking to Mr. Collins, and I don't want to speak for the cable committee or cable station, but he did feel that there would need to be either upgrades or changes to things like the microphones. We also would have to display whoever is not in the meeting, so I think I don't think it would be good practice to have a divided screen. It'd be tough to see anything, so you may need to pull in another projector. So I think there are limitations, but I think that everything can be fixed with,
So, Robin, I know that you had mentioned that as well, that you have to display that person who's remote, but the open meeting law says that you only need to be audible, not visible.
Okay.
So I think
Even as a
that,
committee member?
even as a committee member, yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I thought I heard, I could be wrong, or
I don't remember reading it either, so.
What does that do for our administrators? Would they be allowed to also join remotely instead of sticking around for 4 hours after school's out? Or,
That's something to
I mean,
consider.
We can certainly discuss that.
I'm
I
not
think
trying, I'm
having
just,
them in the here.
genuine, I don't
Yeah.
know what
Yeah.
that means for those of us. I don't want to get to a point where we are all remote. Because like, I think I don't want us to all say,
I also think like for nights like tonight where we have recognition, I think it's nice for us to be present for that as much as possible. I mean, we all have times where we all miss meetings.
yeah.
And I get it, your schedule is crazy, so I don't mean, I'm not targeting you, I feel
No,
terrible.
no,
But like I
no.
said, if you thought that, avoiding the first week of the month would help, maybe you be here at least 75% of the time, like that would be a better solution, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely help in the sense that it would help me avoid those definite like go lives that are absolutely the first week of the month. I also I'm traveling 2 more weeks out of this month, and neither of them are the first week of the month. So it's hit and miss, and I also would hate to say let's revolve our entire school committee schedule around my work schedule. I just don't think that that's sustainable, and I don't think that it sets the right precedent really. I think at least if we attempt to leverage the technology, especially that we already have access to and pay for in our school district, right? I think that might just set a better precedent, and I think it might also open avenues to access for everybody, not just committee members, which I think that transparency is one of Mr. Bodwell's strengths. I think that that's something that we're all working on as a committee as well. So I hope that maybe being able to leverage our technology to be able to allow committee members to participate remotely when needed, as permitted by the open meeting law. I think would be a good first step in opening up a little bit more transparency as well in our processes overall.
I think it's a good time too. Were you gonna say something?
I was just gonna say I can get some more definitive information
Yeah.
as to what limitations are, or barriers we have in place and how we can, move past those.
Yeah, I think it's a good time too, because it's June. Our next meeting is August, so we can come up with a list of things that we need to research and we need to look into. And I'll actually communicate with you, Lexi, because you are the tech guru, so that we can kind of, well, more than me anyway, so.
Yeah, no,
So-
I'd be happy to,
Yeah,
I'd
so
be
we
happy
can
to work on the tech side of it as
brainstorm some
well.
stuff.
I had Mr. Collins in high school as a teacher. I'd love to connect with him about maybe how we can make this possible. And Mr. Bodwell, you're absolutely right. We have all summer. So,
And it may be more on the cable side too, so less Mr. Collins and more the WBTV
requirements
stuff.
for the-
So, yeah, how they do this and how they stream, but I'm sure they're very capable.
So let's leave this on unfinished business, and we'll start gathering more information and get into it.
Okay.
Okay, great. Next, the WBPTO update, Ms. Weech.
This was texted to me, so I apologize. The PTO is dedicated to making a school a better place for our students. This past month, preschool, kindergarten, and first grade were treated to adorable butterfly and tadpole buddies who showed them the fascinating journey of life. First and third graders also got some new books to go with their lessons. Teachers had been borrowing from the public library. Sorry, I haven't read this before now. Teachers have been borrowing from the public library. This will help ensure they have the book in their classroom when needed. All year long, kids in grades 1 through 6 get a special token to visit the book vending machines at the Roselle and the Howard School to pick out a new book. Kindergarten had a fun surprise this past week when they got to walk over to the Howard and each got a book from the vending machine as well. And as always, sixth graders will wrap up this year with T-shirts they've designed themselves for their moving on ceremony. We also had the Wizards game last month, which we just got the numbers for. We raised over $12,000 for that, which is a great end to our year. And we finished up teacher appreciation earlier, or almost a month ago, where we had snacks, a lunch, a coffee day, a dessert day, and there was something else in there. And we hope that more families will join us next year at the PTO.
Thank you. Okay, the CPAC update. The mission of West Bridgewater Special Education Parent Advisory Council is to build inclusive schools and communities. We do this by supporting families of students with IEPs and 504s and including regular education parents by offering advice, advocacy, and opportunities for education and community building. We had another successful school year. In September, we kicked off the year by hosting tables at all 4 curriculum nights, spreading the word about our mission, and meeting many new families. In the fall, we welcomed Christine Riley from Cape Cod Advocate for our first workshop of the year, Basic Rights and Your Child's IEP. We rounded out 2025 by celebrating International Day of Persons with Disabilities with our annual Inclusion Matters Rock Your Socks fundraiser on December 6th. In February, we hosted a viewing session for Desi's webinar, Reimagining and Recalibrating the Massachusetts State Compliance System. And in April, we were proud to celebrate neurodivergence and learn more about the autistic community with Autism Acceptance and Appreciation Spirit Week at each school. In May, we called on the WBCPAC's community to nominate West Bridgewater's inclusive educators with our annual Grant of Gratitude. Congratulations, Ms. Moniz and Ms. Maloney. Now in June, we're calling on you as we wind down this year and start planning for the next. The WBCPAC is looking to you to get involved and help plan future events. If you'd like to help make West Bridgewater Special Education Parent Advisory Council the best it can be, join us at our last meeting of the year here at the Middle Senior High School Learning Commons, so right here, tomorrow, June 9th at 6 o'clock. To learn more about the WBCPAC, stay updated on events, or join our mailing list, please visit us on Facebook or email us anytime at wbsepac@gmail.com. Okay, moving on, unfinished business. The first item is discussion of the March 1st, 2027 budget hearing meeting date. Refresh my memory what we have to discuss.
The 8th, I
It's too
think,
much.
is the regular scheduled meeting.
Yep.
I believe, and so I think when we looked at the timeline for getting information to the budget subcommittee members and reviewing it and then getting the regular committee, that That'd be that last week of February, and then the budgets, I think the first would be the hearing date, and then the 8th, and then that would allow us the 15th to meet again if necessary prior to meeting with Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee. So I think we're looking to add the
Add-
date to the first.
Add the first as the
The-
hearing. Okay. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Are we prepared to vote and add it to the calendar now? Do you want to hold it so we can look at our calendars?
I have nothing in March right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't even know what I'm doing next week.
Okay. All right, so is there a motion to add March 1st, 2027 as a school committee meeting date to the calendar?
Motion to add March 1st, 2027 as our budget hearing meeting date.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. All right, next item, district test score results, Mrs. Page and Mrs. Yanis.
All right, I'm not sure, I think Mrs. Yanis might be up first, but she's gonna talk about some MCAS scores. We presented information a couple times, so she's doing a little bit of recap and some new information. And then Mrs. Page gonna talk SATs and AP scores. So you just got to give me the look when I need to move it over.
So we're seeing clear recovery and proficiency gains in our middle school math programs, specifically in grade 6 and 8. Elementary ELA, particularly grade 4, remains an area requiring more targeted intervention. And we have a high concentration of students sitting in the partially meeting tier. This isn't a failure, it's an opportunity to push them over into the proficiency threshold with the right support. Grade 3 had their proficiency jump from 40% to 48% in 2025. However, the not meeting tier grew slightly, indicating a widening gap we need to monitor. The grade 3 math alert is we have a need here. Proficiency has dropped from 54% in 2022 to 36% in 2025. Grade 4, ELA has slipped to 28% proficiency with not meeting expectations rising to 20%. And math is mixed, but 52% of students are in the partially meeting, giving us a clear target group.
And not to interrupt, but just to note that we are looking at an elementary math
Yes.
curriculum, so we're in the process of
Yep.
doing that. And part of that, some of our district scoring certainly can show some improvement.
Next slide, okay. Performance remains steady in math and science in grade 5. Science is stable at 45% proficiency, and math is holding firm at 46%. ELA, we did see a drop in combined proficiency to 34%, and this is primarily due to students shifting downward into the middle tier rather than the lowest tier. Grade 6, math is a bright spot. It's shown growth since 2022, climbing from 24% to 45% proficiency. Even better, we cut the not meeting tier by more than half down to just 5%. Grade 7 ELA strengths show strong overall proficiency at 52%, up significantly from 30% in 2023, and we successfully moved students out of the partially meeting tier. Grade 7, 55% of students are currently in partially meeting, and this is territory for differentiated instruction to convert these students into proficient. Math and science, grade 8 math proficiency doubled since 2022, rising from 23% to 46%. Science also saw significant gains, rising to 34%. In 2025, our civics MCAS piloted, and it marks our new baseline year with an initial proficiency rate of 38%.
And it's just important to note that across the state, grades 5 and 8 are the ones that are the most tested.
Yeah,
with-
grade 8's
Grade 8
tested
now is
very
4 different
heavily.
assessments. Again, I know it's across the state, but it is a lot of test overload, especially when we're also using other assessments such as STAR to test students. So we want to try, it's tough when you get all these testing dates, and it certainly takes away from instructional time.
So grade 7 leads the pack of top performers at 52%, followed closely by grade 8 ELA at 49%, grade 3 ELA at 48%, grade 8 math at 46%, and grade 6 math at 45%. SGP for the district, yeah,
This one?
we're behind.
I'm sorry.
So our SGP for the district, our ELA average SGP is 47.5%, and our math average SGP is 52%.
What's an
I
SGP?
was just gonna say.
Student growth percentile.
Okay.
50% is considered average. Grade 3 does not have growth percentiles because it's the first year they're tested, and there is no growth percentile in science either.
I hate to ask for data, but is there a way we can see these graduating classes? Like, I see that, grade 3 has gotten better,
Mhm.
but has that class improved?
We can follow cohorts.
So
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was gonna
Sorry.
ask, the same thing.
And I think I did that in one of the presentations,
Yeah,
I
I think
followed
you
a
probably did,
cohort.
yeah.
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 Because I can see, here, from 3 to 4, it looks like
Mhm.
in 2022, a rough year for all of us, but it did go down, but then it looks like it might have gone back up based on this. I'd really love to see, like, per cohort, are they improving, are they catching up, or are they stuck in that
And
not meeting?
part of the dip in ELA too is we implemented the new
Right.
ELA program.
Yep.
You're always gonna see a little bit of a dip.
And we're starting to
um,
see that.
And we're starting to see it
gain.
come back. We've partnered with Columbia University for the CPEARL
Okay.
and the CSIF study to show us how we can best leverage our implementation. And I just saw today there is another opportunity through DESE for some more high-quality instructional material implementation support, so we can look at that as well. We're looking at new math curriculum, K to 6, so we have a stronger connection between all the grades, more consistent vocabulary, practices.
And I think you mentioned the CPRO study, but
Mhm.
we met for the end of the year with the consultant, and it was encouraging growth.
Yep.
It was gonna share it next with the administrators, but it was good to see that they're doing a lot of tracking of, what the teachers are saying, how they're implementing, they're doing targeted observations in the classrooms, they're putting that data in there, so I think that is good, because we wanna make sure that we are effectively teaching the curriculum to the
Mhm.
students, because that's where we're gonna see the biggest growth.
What criteria are you using to select curriculum? Like, where are you looking for the programs that you're considering?
We're looking at implement the DESE Curate and Ed reports. DESE has the high-quality implementation materials that we use.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Can you go back to one of the slides? I'm just catching up now. Go back to the one that's labeled elementary proficiency trends 3 to
Yep.
5. So is that saying that only 28% of fourth grade ELA is, what is proficiency?
I can't see it. Proficient is meeting or exceeding.
Okay, so that means if I'm looking at that data correctly for like the latest data, fourth grade is, what is that, 72% are not meeting? Same thing with math in grade 3, it looks like it's 64% are not meeting, those just seem like very high percentages.
I
to
can't
not
even
be
see
meaningful.
that.
Yeah, that's another, you're
Is that
looking at the
correct?
right numbers, that's, yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and how many are sitting in the partially meeting too? Because that's a,
Yeah, it was lumped together when I
Yeah.
did it, so
yeah,
we
so.
can break it down more.
So those numbers are the meeting or exceeding, and then the partially
Partially
meeting is
meeting.
kind of lumped down with
Yeah.
not meeting. Yeah.
but so this is, and I understand, this is at the end of the year they take this test, right? So if,
March, we don't
Okay.
get results until October.
okay, so it's just alarming to me that, like, in those grades, more than half are not meeting towards the end of the year. I could see if it was like, if we were taking this in September, that would make sense to me, but it's just, I'm a little concerned with these numbers, especially with, I think what Mrs. Page is gonna go into next, like, especially in the math area, it seems to be, like, I think it was the first slide you put up, if you can go back to that, it had like, only like 20%. Yeah, or 36%, sorry.
Oh,
Go
sorry.
back to it, yeah. So the proficiency fell from 3 years ago, we were, more than half the kids were proficient, now we're down to 36%. Is that the last thing, am I reading that correctly? And I know it's a new group of kids, but I'm saying it
Yes.
doesn't seem like we're trending well on the math and science side, is I guess what I'm a little concerned about. Does the data support that, or am I imagining that?
No, that's what it says.
Okay, good, all
Yep.
right. So I guess to Lexi's point, it's like, we're looking at the math curriculum now, did I hear that also? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good, so like, it would be nice to see if in a year or two, this,
It
Data
may not
swings.
go up right away when we implement a new math curriculum. There's usually that little slump, but it will start going up
okay,
with a new curriculum. And high-quality implementation
Yeah.
and
So, like,
working with consultants.
this is the kind of stuff that I would love for us to do way more often than we do. Because like, to me, this is like, don't get me wrong, everybody's feelings are very valuable, but to me, this is like way more valuable than talking about things. Like, this is stuff that I want to see progress on as we go throughout the year, to me, at least. And I understand we can't get the MCAS data all the time. I'm not saying,
Right, so in the year, it'd be more some of the STAR data, Dibble's data. would be-
yeah, that,
would
like,
more
if we
Yeah.
could do
in the
this, like,
Beginning of the year.
every
end of
other
the year.
meeting, or what, whenever that data comes available, to me, that would be like,
And remember,
What?
sometimes the test on one day.
I do think
but the whole
too-
state's doing it in the same way,
No,
right? So like, if we're behind the state, that's not an excuse, in my opinion. Like,
I hear what you're saying, JP, but I do also think we need to think about our role as a school committee. We're governing and we're looking at policy and looking at budget. And to dive, for us, yes, we should monitor. Yes, I think that we should continue to look at scores for sure. But looking every other meeting is not really our role.
well, I
That's
disagree. I think if
administrators.
our scores are this low, to me, that's our number one priority. Like, to me, once again, all the other policy stuff is fine, but if our scores are this far below state average, I'm concerned about that. So if we need to spend more time there, I'm okay with that.
I'm not sure you didn't put the state average in.
No, that's
but-
not state average.
Yeah, but
That's just
I hear
comparing.
your concerns, and I
Yeah.
think we
Yep.
can, this is not something that we talk about on one day. We're always talking about, how kids are doing, how they're
Okay.
progressing. The good news is by
I
the
have
state, we're
some-
looking at we're making effective progress through the state, so, could it be better? I think like all things,
Mm-hmm.
it always could be better, so we'll look at that.
I have some STAR data too. It's not up there, but STAR we do 3 times a year. And some key takeaways is there's some strong overall growth, and the vast majority of students showed positive academic growth over the course of the school year. The average score increase, there's average student increased their scaled score by roughly 30 to 40 points between the beginning of the year and the end of their assessments. Around 80 to 85% of students recorded a higher score at the end of the year than they did at the beginning of the year. And that was at Roselle. Howard, students starting the year with lower scaled scores demonstrated the most dramatic academic gains. Several students accelerated by over 100 points. Students entering the year already performing at or an advanced tier did not plateau. The vast majority successfully stretched their performance deep into the 1100s and 1200s. Approximately 15.2% of students experienced a decline in their score. That's the whole school.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, I didn't.
15.2% of students, 48 out of the 315, experienced a decline in their scores. And the declines were very small, less than 15 points, which is highly typical statistically. It's a variance of or a reflection of testing fatigue, which at the end of the year, they're doing MCAS, they're doing STAR, they're doing DIBBLES.
Yeah, I think that's why it's important to compare this against state averages in the towns in our area, because I understand, but the kids in EB are doing the same thing. So if we're not keeping track with them, that's the kind of stuff that I want to know, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's what I presented on the first time we did it
Yeah.
versus
I
state.
think we had state
Yeah.
averages,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I did cohort the second time.
So the STAR data, do we review that at any time?
Yep,
The administrators do,
Yep.
yeah, and the teachers do, yeah.
Okay, and that can be presented to us at some sort of
I
cadence?
mean, it's
or-
the beginning of the year and, middle of the year and end of the year.
All right, perfect. As long as that stuff's on the agenda already, that's great.
All right. Thank
Great.
you. This is Page, AP Performance.
Which one's first?
I think AP. Oh,
Geez, I printed it out, so I wouldn't be able to see
All right.
that. So this, it goes back 5 years. We did the, it's dark over here. You can't, it's tough to see over here. And I would say for a small school, we have a lot of offerings for students, which I think is great. Here on the first page, which I think I see there, we have about 55% scoring a 3 or above in our last cohort. And then a 1 or 2 is a 44. I think the exposure to AP above all is giving those students the experience of a college course. If they meet the 3, they, certain schools will accept that and give you credit towards, typically it's a humanities type of course. But regardless of the score, students going in, they've had a college type of course. If you go on to the next page.
Can I just ask a
Yeah,
question
you sure
real quick on
can.
that one?
Yep.
Why have our total administered exams dropped so much? Just kids just aren't
Well, if you look
qualifying?
at 2026, there was 168 administered, so it actually went up 30.
Yeah, but if I look back like 2022, it's 220, 222. Then there's a big drop to 180. Like, we have the same amount of kids roughly then, right?
We do, but a lot of time, it depends, access to the class. If there's conflicts, sometimes a student may not be able to take the course.
Right.
That's the downside of a smaller district. Sometimes they'll decide to take Spanish 5 versus an AP Bio or Chem. A lot of the courses, some of them, like chemistry, will run sometimes every other year for that reason.
Is that just because of the number of kids needed to fill a class, you don't have enough?
Correct. With
Well,
AP,
out of 100 kids, you
with
only
AP,
have-
we try to have at least 10.
Right.
But, if we have 7, we'll run it if
you
we can.
Okay.
But a lot of times it comes down to conflicts in schedule. And that is, like I said, one of the downfalls. The biggest districts are able to have more sections of the AP courses. So I think it ebb and flows. Some schools have stricter requirements for students taking an AP. For us, we encourage all students to try an AP course. You're gonna gain the experience, so when you go off to school, you may not get a 5, but you're gonna go off to college and, have that realistic experience.
And when you're looking at the numbers, you're talking primarily juniors and seniors. Some of your sophomores may take
Stats
AP
is typically
statistics as a
sophomores,
sophomore.
yeah.
But still, when you're talking
Juniors and
junior and
seniors,
seniors, just over 200 students. Again, kids are taking multiple, some only a single, but could be 2, 3, or, maybe even up to 4.
There's a student hoping next year to take 4.
Yeah, so it's still a high percentage of our kids are at least trying it, and that's been going back for years, the encouragement of kids to take a higher level course. And, the expectation is they take the assessment at the end.
Do all the kids take the assessment?
Yeah, they're required.
They're
Oh, they're
required
required.
here. There are districts that don't require it, is optional. If they don't take the AP exam, they'll drop to honors credit.
Okay.
But I think some districts do that, so that maybe their scores are better, so it's just those kids who want to take the higher achievement.
I was actually, that's where I was going with that question, is you have your all-time high success rate, but it's also your lowest number. So are we getting more selective? Is that why our scores are going up? Like, that wouldn't be a bad thing. I'm just curious if,
No.
you just think it's random?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think it's
that's fine.
random. We don't discourage if a kid wants to take it. We really encourage any student who's looking to go on to, the college level we really try to encourage them to take an AP.
Can anybody take the test who hasn't taken the class? Can somebody who's taking an honors class go, you know what, I know this stuff, they can't?
No,
Okay.
no. You have to be enrolled in the AP. Our English has always historically been strong. Both the 11th and 12th grade, the lit and the comp. Our Calc AB, definitely, we can have some improvement there, but when you see the AB subscore, that actually is in the Calc BC exam, but it's assessing you on all of the AB material. So it's almost like a second year of the AB within the BC, so they do tend to learn the material that second year. The block scheduling every other day, isn't ideal sometimes for the APs. You know, and we look to look at the schedule in a different way, and it just didn't go through. You know, a lot of the students didn't want to cut down to 7 courses instead of 8. So that was a discussion for quite a long time, and then the staff ultimately voted it down for the prep time and those sorts of things. So you do take a little bit of a hit, you know, maybe with the scores when we're meeting every other day. But again, I think the experience of taking the course itself overrides that.
I mean, I do think, sorry to interrupt, but
No,
I do
you're
think
fine.
meeting time and meeting minutes is a factor. I think if a student's taking 6 or 7 courses rather than 8 courses, the amount of minutes that they have, and the reality is with a block schedule, the maximum amount of time, they're meeting 90 times a year, but that's not accurate because you have midterms and finals, and so it's not, the time they have, I think if we had a 7-block schedule, or they took 7 courses, the amount of minutes would be significantly increased. We are one of the only districts that still has 8, and again, it was attempted to try to change that, but it did not pass. And it's
Well, I think a
negotiating
lot of the humanities in the electives, the fine arts, technology, I think a lot of those teachers and students were afraid of, you know, reducing to 7, that some of those programs may go away. But we'll look at it again.
So, just the Calc AB thing in particular, like, I guess, so I'm hearing in the elementary schools, we're looking at the curriculum. Do we look at the curriculum for these things when we see?
It's the College Board, it's the curriculum
Okay,
is.
but so I look back from previous data, 2022, 2023, the fail rate on that test was 65%. The following year, 72%. Following year, 63%, and now we're up to 83%. So it's just, that's 5 years worth of data where we've,
Are you talking AP?
yeah, AP, Calc, AB.
Yeah, and I think because we don't discriminate against, you know, there may be some students in those classes that it's a struggle, but we're not slowing down the course.
Yeah, I guess, so my concern there is I sat at the awards meeting, and I don't know what percentage of kids were honor roll, but it was a very large percentage. And then I see test scores like this, and there's clearly a disconnect somewhere of kids are getting A's and B's in our classes, but then they're taking a standardized test and failing at very high rates. Like
Yeah,
something's going on.
I'd also look at the number of students in AB and BC combined. I mean, that's, you know, almost 30% of our price, mostly seniors.
Yeah.
Mostly taking, so that's a third of our seniors taking an AP level. It's probably higher than
Yeah, so
normal.
my point would be, did 80% of those kids receive a C or below in that class? I'm sure they didn't, because your honor roll data you wouldn't be able to support that. So like, that's the kind of stuff that, like, are we not challenging the kids hard enough so that we can give them higher grades, but then when they take the standardized test, they're not ready? I guess that's what that's the data is telling me. I'm being honest with you guys.
Okay.
No,
It's concerning.
You can, yeah.
I think another thing to consider too is like, what is our goal when we offer AP? Like, I mean, do we offer dual enrollment? And I think that the difference is the AP exam is geared toward passing the exam at the end to prove that you have the skills. Whereas a dual enrollment course is to be able to have that college experience in and of itself. So I wonder if like students that already have the skills and are already working at that advanced level, are already far distinguished above their peers, would be better served by taking the AP courses, passing the test, getting that college credit, whereas students who are just looking for the experience might be better served by dual enrollment. So I wonder, do we offer both? And
We do.
which audiences are we gearing those offerings toward, and why?
I think our counselors sit, particularly with the upperclassmen, you know, getting into those crunch years of, you know, what's your plan, where do you intend to go? And they have honest conversations with them, you know? Yeah,
I mean,
they do both. I think we have more, I think, want to take the AP, because it's here, you know what I mean? But we do have students who do the dual enrollment.
I just wonder if like maybe it isn't just, as much as those two seem like very similar offerings, I think that the the motivation behind them is still kind of distinct, and I almost feel like steering students toward the appropriate offering to still get that level of college experience or college exposure that they're looking for might not improve, like, not just these numbers, but also, in essence, improve and be able to, like, more tailor and individualize students' experience toward what they're actually ready for.
And I look too, outside of just AP and all these, where are these kids getting into colleges? And they're being really successful. You know, they're getting into some great schools. So I don't think it's always just about a test. I hear what you're saying, JP.
I think that getting higher scores on standardized tests are going to get you into better colleges, though. I think that.
I think we get into some pretty good colleges here, if you
And
see
I
the
think
list.
part of it is building their skills. We have no support levels. We have no math coaches, literacy coaches. I think those would help along the way for all students. And you know, we're woefully deficient in terms of, you know, what other districts have in terms of staffing. So I think, you know, if we want to see some of these scores go up, then I think we've got to make a commitment to add more staff in these support roles. Like when you look at the data that was shared,
We used
through
to
the
have math
evidence, there's a lot
tutors.
of districts have, you know, math coaches, literacy coaches, they have these positions in place to assist. So that's something that we have been lacking over the years too.
We had math tutors for a while, but then budget. So yeah, is there work to be done? Absolutely, you know. But I think exposure to the courses rather than single, you know, not allow students to have the opportunity to take it. And we can agree to disagree on that, but that, you know, I'd rather have kids have the experience.
I agree, but I'm concerned if they sit through an entire year in this class and then 83% fail. That's, to me, something's broken there. Like that.
Well, I think the schedule, especially in math, you know, in English, you can get away more so with the every other day, but the math and science sometimes, not, you know, meeting every day, it does hurt, no doubt. Anybody else?
Do you have, do you want to go through some of these?
I think I kind of talked
Okay.
about them.
All right, SAT
So the
performance.
SAT, the College Board only went back for the 24-25. And, you know, in talking with the counselors, with Mr. Goulet and Ms. Myers, students, you know, some colleges are not requiring the SAT like they used to. So there was a huge decrease in the number of students that took the SAT from 24 to 26. But the meeting of the benchmarks have gone up, but, you know, less students. If you go to the next slide, Mark. So you'll see in 24, 25, 44%. Now the benchmark for reading and writing is 480, and for math is 530. And if you meet those benchmarks, then what they're saying is that you're ready, you're college ready, to be able to go in and be successful in college. So you'll see on there, but when you go to the last, the comparative statistics, we had 64 students in 24-25 take the SATs, and this year there were only 36.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I think only, from what my research, it was only 5% of the colleges require it.
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
so it's a
so
big
it's only,
drop.
so 95%
And a lot of students,
don't.
those students who are taking the opportunity, which, good for them, to go to Massasoit for free, they don't need to take the SATs, and then after 2 years, they can get into, you know, a college. But, you know, throughout the state in 24-25, 50,000 students took it in 24-25, and then in 25-26, 45, so 5,000 less took the SAT exam.
And both SATs and AP are run by the College Board. And it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
business. It's
Yeah.
a business,
Oh, for
I
sure.
think, so I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, for sure. But, you know, those who are taking it, they're doing well on it. The counselors are talking to students to say, you know, you should, if you're not quite sure where you're going, you never know, because it may limit you if you decide all of a sudden that you want to go to a school that, you know, they require the SATs, but a lot of the students have, you know, in their mind where they want to go, and if the SAT isn't, they don't want to spend the money on it. So,
Any other questions? Any further discussion? Okay, thank you, Mrs. Page.
There's not a slide on it, but we're on club fees.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I didn't want
Okay,
jump
so
right over.
next item on the agenda is discussion on club fees with the budget subcommittee. Want to
Sure.
talk about this one?
Yeah.
I know you guys.
Okay, so it was something that we
Can we
had,
turn on the lights?
Well, yeah, we're
Yeah.
just-
Sorry.
I was just noting how dark it is, like.
something that we have been
This
discussing on and off for the last several months. So at our last meeting that we voted to increase the athletic fees.
Yeah, I think so.
And we had also established that clubs made up about 10% of the student activities budget. So it would be my recommendation that we vote to implement a student activities fee for clubs. That's 10% of the athletic fee, so an annual fee of $35 to cover to help cover costs associated with the various clubs. Because I know any club that exists needs an advisor, and the advisors all get stipends, and, you know, we want to make sure that we can still offer all these things to our students, you know, without it being a huge hit to the budget.
Is it $35? I missed, did you say 35?
That was my recommendation.
Per club or
No,
for
my
a year
recommendation
for
would be
as
an
unlimited
annual
clubs?
fee, yeah. Because it seems fair if it's about, I think it was 11% of the student activities budget cost center, were for clubs and student activities.
So same exact model, just a different.
That would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I think as long as it's equitable, if, you know, if we're charging sports once, we should charge activities once.
I just wanted to make
If
sure.
we're charging sports multiple times, then we look at charging activities multiple times for sure.
We could also implement a family cap of, say,
Yeah.
70 like we do for
Right.
athletics.
I like the 10%. I wonder if we should maybe ease into that because it's a first time. I feel like, I mean, I'm not saying $35 is a lot to hit people with, but I don't want to shock the student population either. So I don't know if we want to start with like a 25 or something and.
I know, Mrs. Grant had asked for it not to be 25 because it's the same amount as the parking fee, and it gets tricky with bookkeeping
I get that,
to
okay.
differentiate where the money's coming from the student families.
But we did find out it can go right on to however they pay online. So yeah, so that's good. So it's because we want to make sure tracking, that's why one fee is easier than for each activity they do, so.
I'm certainly open to a
No,
different
I
amount.
just-
What was the 10% number? Was it 30?
35.
35
35.
would be 10% of the athletic fee, the annual athletic fee.
I'll make a motion, we start charging clubs $35 fee,
Any family cap?
and the family cap of 70, is that what we do for sports? Yeah.
Okay, and just to clarify, that's per club or per
Per year.
year?
Yep.
Per year.
Okay.
A second.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay, next on the agenda is discussion of a potential procedure regarding alcohol at events held on school grounds. So this came out of, we did receive a request, and it was proposed by Mr. Waller, which I think is a great idea, to discuss this on the whole rather than to discuss it per request that we get. And I did look at our policies. We do not have any policies related to alcohol. There is a regulation on the books that alcohol will not be served on school premises unless it is approved by the school committee. It's interesting that MASC does not have a policy when they have policies on absolutely everything else. But I do think it would be worth the policy subcommittee looking at our policy ADC, which is tobacco and smoking on school premises, and if this is something that we want to incorporate it into that policy. But I do want to kind of get the general thoughts on where people are leaning in terms of, do we, blanket statement of we do not allow it? Do we continue to do it by request? I know we were all kind of
I
conflicted
will
at the
say,
last
it
discussion.
is
What are your-
listed under the building use documents. There's a line somewhere about no alcohol unless it's permitted by the school committee. So that kind of created probably
So we'd
confusion
have to
or
look at that
unknown.
as well.
Yeah.
If that's something that we decide to do.
I think an important thing to consider here too is we're a small community, right? This high school was a big expenditure. And I remember at the time, a big part of the argument of voting to build this school was that even members of our community that aren't directly using the service, which is schooling their children, would still be able to use it as like a sort of community center. We would vote here, we would hold town meeting here. So I think that in the spirit of ensuring that all of our residents are able to make use of this space that they paid to help build, I think it would go a long way in making some considerations into allowing our residents to use this space for what it was intended for, or at least that's what we were told it was intended for. That said, I know, like, I think it's obvious that there are considerations, safety, right, especially concerning our children and alcohol use. I think liability could be a big issue as well. But I think there are rewards. I think that there are opportunities for fundraising. I could see the boosters being able to have like a wine and paint night or something like that. I just think that it's worth considering. I don't think that it's the right move to just flat out no. And I just think that it's worth talking about it in a real way that isn't just dismissing it out of hand.
Any other thoughts?
I know with the YA, if you do anything outside, the police requires you make a beer garden and they come and rope it off and you have to have a detailed police officer. So
Yeah, I think that that's also something we need to consider too, is talking to the PD in terms of what's required. I know that they do need to issue permits as well.
correct.
And so if we do consider or continue to consider requests, then we need to kind of think about how that plays out for the next request, so that we're not, we're not figuring it out as we get the request.
I wouldn't mind keeping it as something that we do discuss, like a policy that we discuss. I don't want to open it up and just have people have birthday parties and, but I'd love if somebody wanted to have a class reunion and they wanted to have wine, I think that that's okay. But I don't want to blanket yes, blanket no. I think that opens us up to problems on both ends.
Okay.
I did talk to the chief, and that is 100% accurate of what his requirements are anywhere in town.
Okay.
I don't know if they have did you ask them if they require it's inside though? The YA doesn't have
No,
anywhere
I
to go
know. I
inside, so-
think we've always talked about it as an outside.
Yeah.
And even in this, we talked about it, if it was to be here and it was outside, and roping it off and having a detail and limiting space and so forth.
Okay. So I think I'm going to propose that the policy subcommittee do some research. And we do need to book a policy subcommittee meeting, so we can add that to the agenda to look at possibilities, see what other towns are doing. We can communicate with the chief, we can look at our building use, what liability, what insurance is, just kind of all these things. And we'll need you, Mr. Bodwell, to do a little research into that as well, but we'll do the policy piece of it.
Join
And
the
then
meeting.
we can bring this back in August.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, that brings us to reports of subcommittees. Ms. Lazardi, did you have something on student outreach subcommittee or no? Okay, I imagined it. I know that they did hold their election and Mrs. Page was going to keep us in the loop. So that brings us to policy subcommittee. Hold on one moment while I open up my document here. So we do have some policies open. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the following policies that were reviewed. JKAA, physical restraint of students. DGA, authorized signatures. EB, safety program. EBAB, pest management policy. EBB, first aid. EBC, emergency plans. EBCD, emergency closings. EC, building and grounds maintenance. ECA, building and grounds security. ECAB, access to buildings and grounds. ECAC, vandalism. ECAF, security cameras in schools. And EDC, authorized use of school-owned materials. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion on this?
Can I ask about JKAA, because that one caught my eye?
Yep.
You guys rewrote the whole thing?
We did not rewrite the whole thing. But yes, the MASC rewrote the entire policy. So we'll just start with JKAA. So MASC rewrote the entire policy based on regulation changes. The regulation changes happened last summer. They go into effect in August. So the new policy, I know we did have kind of a cheat sheet on there, but I'll run down some of the things. So the major changes are that seclusion is no longer outright prohibited, but there are very clear, detailed procedures. As you can see in your packet, the previous policy, which again was modeled after regulations, was very sparse. So it kind of left things up to district procedures, and now it is very clear. There's an extensive new section on timeout procedures. There's much more detailed definitions of threat and harm. There are new requirements for prone restraints. There's significantly expanded reporting requirements. There's new administrative oversight requirements. There's new requirements for medical and psychological review. There's new physical space requirements, expanded staff training requirements. And then they did also clarify that there are two explicit prohibitions, which are restraints cannot be written into an IEP and they cannot be used as routine behavior management. So we went from like a 1.5-page document, I don't have it open, to like a 12-page document. So it's pretty lengthy. It was written by MASC Legal and it does follow the state regulations. So.
Okay. How does this trickle down to like the folks in the actual rooms? Or how do they know that these policies changed?
So the school committee also does need to approve the restraint procedures. So once we approve this policy, Mrs. Marble is going to work on those procedures. We will discuss them in the fall and approve those. And then there are annual trainings. Can let you speak to that a little bit. I know that annual trainings have to occur for every staff member.
Right, and so we'll work with our administrative team when we meet in early August, and then work with her special ed teachers when we come back to start school. So we'll continue that training process and potentially professional development depending on what time is needed.
Okay. Just because I started reading through it and
it's a lot.
Yeah, so that's why I just wasn't sure how we let the people who need to know.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty significant professional development opportunity. It's not. I can't imagine it's just going to be a read the PowerPoint and check the box for this one, because it is a big change. In terms of the other policies, there were no changes to safety program, pest management, emergency plans, building and grounds, building maintenance, building and ground security, vandalism, security cameras in schools, and authorized use of school-owned materials. So the vast majority of them, there were no changes. We just reviewed them. We did send some questions to Mr. Bodwell, which we're going to include in the next policy subcommittee report, just so that we don't have to get into the weeds today. There were some minor edits to emergency closings, EBCD, and access to buildings and grounds, ECAB, but those minor edits did not change the content of the policy whatsoever. They were just little nitpicky grammatical things. Policy EBB, there was a small change related to content that the notification will go to the Board of Health for infectious disease versus the school physician. And then DGA was the policy we opened to include language regarding adding a backup signatory for warrants. And it's actually very timely because we did also just receive a memo from Christian Lynn's assistant town accountant that we do need to actually put in an alternate for signing of the warrants. So it was good timing on our
Very good timing.
on our part. Is there any questions on any of the policies that we had open?
No.
No? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So moved. And so that being said, as related to policy DGA, that now we do have it in our policy to add a backup signatory. Is there a motion to appoint an alternate signatory for the payroll and bill warrants?
Yes, move to appoint JP Waller as the alternate signatory for bill and payroll warrants.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion on this? I mean, I think.
If anybody else wants to do it, they can, by the way.
Well, Well, we're the budget subcommittee, so I feel like it's appropriate, since I'm the designated signatory, to have JP be the alternate.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you won't ever have to do it.
You go down once a week, right?
I do.
But I do know there have been a couple of times, and though I believe Maureen drove it to your house at
She
one
did one time
point,
when
so
one
I
of my
think we
girls
need
were
to have
sick.
some better.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so moved. Moving on, we don't have any, oh, actually, is there a motion to open the policies for review at the next meeting? I'm happy to make the motion if, I'm looking at
Motion
it.
to open the following policies.
Okay,
Do you want me to read them?
yes, please.
AC non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation. ACR non-discrimination policy, including harassment and retaliation. Wait, that's the same.
It's the same thing, yep,
Okay.
yep.
ACA, non-discrimination on the basis of sex. ACAB, sexual harassment. ACE, non-discrimination on the basis of disability. ACGA, civil rights grievance procedure. ACGB, Title IX, sexual discrimination grievance procedure. JICFB, bullying prevention.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, these are just our annual policies. We have to review them every year, and so we are really getting ahead of it, opening them now so that they are approved for August, so that they are good to go for the opening of school. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. All right, questions, recommendations by the committee. Is there anything that anyone would like to bring up for a future agenda item, or
This doesn't really apply to any of our subcommittees. However, we have an opportunity with MASC to schedule some trainings. And where, I'm the second most senior member and I've only been here for 2 years, I feel like might be a good opportunity for the committee to strengthen some areas. Per MASC, they kind of thought 2 areas where it would be good would be the roles and responsibility of the school committee and budget. And so they said that they have openings in August, and so maybe we can just figure out whether it's via email, pick a few dates that I could then share
Yeah,
with
that's a great
them
idea.
to have us all come in for the trainings. And we can come and join for trainings without it being an open meeting violation, so.
yeah, that's great. We did have Tracy Novick do budget a couple of years ago, and it was extremely, it was great. It was very detailed, it was very informative, so I think that's a great idea. If you don't mind looking into it and kind of proposing a couple of dates, that would be great. All right, anything further? Okay, the next regular school committee meeting date is August 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here at the Middle Senior High School Learning Commons. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.